Today we're going to be changing the axle and rear hubs on this 1995 Wolverine 350. First you want to, of course, jack it up so the tires are off the ground. Alright, I shouldn't have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. To take off the wheels, you got to take off first all 4 lug nuts to take a wheel off. And then that will leave the hub, which I'll show you. Take off a hub, you have to remove the cotter pin, which this is a safety feature to hold the castle nut on, which holds the hub to the axle, which you have to remove. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I just tapped the axle out a little bit, and I'm going to take it out all the way, and to my dismay, I've discovered that these splines are good, and it's actually the drive splines. Well, they even look good, so it must be the rear end itself. If that is the case, it's going to cost me more money. These splines are worn. Not all the way gone. So I'm gonna put the new axle in and see what it feels like. I don't even if it does catch, I still don't want to use it because it'll probably not wear. It'll wear too fast. So, okay, so I'm examining the wheel bearings. This bearing spins, but there's way too much play. You can feel it spinning rough. No real resistance, but it's not smooth and even. And you can see the bearing go. You don't want that. I put the new axle in, and it's catching, but you can hear forward, backward. You can hear it slap a little bit. That's an indicator of play, which you don't want. What I'm going to end up doing is tearing apart this rear end and inspecting it to ultimately determine if it'll be rideable with its current gear that's in there. So that's next. Okay, I removed all the bolts, the external bolts here, here, and here, and all the way around. I hold the differential cover on, differential on, and I also removed the bolts here, here, and here, and here, so I can access the gears. Not able to remove all the bolts while it's still attached to the swing arm, but it's easier to remove them, the ones that you can, while it's attached, so you don't have to fight it when it's disconnected. Also remove the bolts that hold the cover on here. There's 4 of them. And someone was kind enough to put anti-seize on all of them, so that tells me that one of the previous owners has done this before, because they all came off pretty easy. For these actually nuts, for these nuts that I took off, I was able to use a ratchet, but there's not really much room. You gotta go in at an angle. If you think they're going to be really tight, which they probably will be, that's because seeing how someone put anti-seize on them. Use a wrench and a rubber hammer to hit the wrench or something, because you don't want to round them off, of course. All the nuts and bolts were reasonably tight, nothing extraordinary. Now what I'm going to do is, now it's disconnected, I'm going to use a rubber hammer and hit the drive shaft, the differential cover this way to get it to slide down and disconnect up here. And while I hit it and start to break free, it'll disconnect over here, and I should, after it's all the way out, I should be able to just drop it and set it. So here we go. I'm busy. Well, go ahead and tell me. Just tell me. No shit. Hey, I got the rear differential off. I'm gonna take off the last 2 bolts so I can take the gears out and inspect them. Kind of hard to see, but there is some spline left. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to last that long for her to use it again. But I just looked online, new, for this ring gear. It's $330. Even used, it's about $250. So I got the feeling I'm going to try to make it work. But the next thing I'm going to do is, besides inspect everything, is clean everything all out, all the old grease, and excuse me, look in this axle housing. Look, all that old grease in there. Get all that out, and go from there. Okay, I got the last actually 3 bolts out. These 2 are kind of tough. Unless you have a vise or something, I had to use the impact on them, because otherwise the differential wanted to move. So now I'm about ready to take this cover off. Just break it loose a little bit with some taps. And this might be yeah, I can see a little chip. Looks like someone tried to use a screwdriver or something before. And unless that was built in. Okay, yeah, that goes right in there. I'm not sure yet if that's factory or if someone created that by accident. Okay, starting to get some separation. Pretty much just pry along the outside and out. Come back. I'm gonna get it off. Just keep prying. Try not to create any imperfections. So be careful is the main thing. You don't want to damage it that way when you either buy a gasket or reuse a gasket, which don't do unless it's good, or create a new gasket out of silicone. It seals correctly. So. Yeah, I got the ring gear on the new axle. And I could feel a little bit of play. It's probably less than 1 degree, but you can feel it. And probably should be basically 0 play. Maybe 2 degrees. Kind of makes me afraid. I'd like to know. Would imagine the splines here in relation to the splines there would be equal. So, judging by that, the splines on the ring gear have to be worn down to maybe somewhere between 40 and 50% of their original splines. So probably going to end up reusing this and just babying the crap out of it till you get a new one.